It's my pleasure to introduce all of you to this exceptional bunch of people, absolutely exemplary people we have with us this evening. All right, so without any further ado, the first speaker we have is Andre. He's the founder of Good City Foundation and Future City Summit, fellow of the World Economic Forum, G20 Global Smart Cities Alliance, and Global Center for Urban Transformation. He has a Master's of Public Policy from the National University of Singapore, and also a Bachelor of Science in Politics and Public Administration, specialized in the International Relations, Development Studies, and Economics from the University of Hong Kong. Andre, thank you very much for being with us this morning. Hello.
Hi, Rick. Thank you so much for having me.
And everybody in the audience, I will be Ricky for this evening. My name is Ritmaka, but it's a mouthful to pronounce, so we're just gonna go with Ricky, which is an easier pronunciation for everybody. The next panelist we have with us is Natalie Chung. Natalie Chung Su is a passionate environmentalist and social entrepreneur born and raised in Hong Kong. Inspired by a polar explorer since young, Natalie has devoted her life to climate action. At the age of 18, she co-founded social enterprise We Air Hong Kong to promote low carbon local tourism as a means to mitigate climate change. She has her work has earned titles of the Japan Times Female Climate Activist of Asia 2021, and she has also been named in the Eco Business Youth A-List 2020 for the most impactful sustainability leader in Asia Pacific. Natalie, thank you so very much for being with us this evening. Hello, can you please introduce yourself? Say hi to the audience.
Thank you so much, and hello everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and hopefully this will be an insightful session and we can all generate ideas together to solve climate change.
Thank you, Natalie. The next speaker we have with us is Karen Wang. Karen is a climate tech entrepreneur. She is a founding member of Carbon Base, leads projects in mainland China. She hosts Climate X at Carbon Base, a climate think tank for education, collaboration, and action on the net zero emission goals. She organized events such as TEDx Shangwan, Climate AI panel with Monetary Authority of Singapore at the annual FinTech Week in 2020. She holds a BSc in Statistics and Operation Research, double minors in Finance and Computer Science from the Hong Kong Baptist University. Karen, thank you so very much for being with us. Can you please say hi to the audience?
Hi, thank you so much, and nice to meet you all. Really honored to come here and speak about our work at Carbon Base. And then and also with the after the session, everyone can contribute ideas to have a better climate future, especially in such an important topic in
Karen, we're having a bit of an audio issue. I cannot hear you clearly. I think something is a little wrong with your mic. Can we figure that out, please? It's a little unclear.
Yeah, I just maybe we can go to the next speaker, and then I find another place in the mic to adjust it.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you so much. The next speaker we have with us is G. He's a certified urban planner by the American Planning Association and data analyst portfolio management. He joined the Green Climate Fund in August 2017 and is currently serving in the fund's Office of Portfolio Management. The GCF, a critical element of the Paris Agreement, is the world's largest climate fund established within the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. He has a Master of Science in Urban Planning from Columbia University in the city of New York, a Bachelor of Architecture from Yonsei University. He is a certified urban planner from the American Institute of Certified Planners and certified expert in sustainable finance. G, if you could please say hi to the audience and get this ball running.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for the good introduction with Maka. Nice to meet you, everyone. I really look forward to speaking about the climate change and engaging with you all. Thank you. Over.
Thank you, G. And last but not least, a star from our own country, Michelle Dilhara, 25-year-old Michelle is an award-winning Sri Lankan actress and author, philanthropist, and an environmentalist. In 2020, she was appointed as the Earth Day Network ambassador to Sri Lanka by earthday.org, which is currently the largest recruiter to the environmental movement, working with more than 150,000 partners in over 192 countries around the globe. She is an advocate and an ardent promoter of net zero and carbon neutrality and has 10-year experience in promoting climate literacy among the youth. Hello, Michelle. Thank you so very much for being with us. You're an inspiration to everyone in our country. Can you please say hi to the audience and let's get this ball running with the Q&A.
Hi and good morning, everyone. It's nice to see everyone today and hope to speak more during the session today. And I'm saying hi to all the other speakers as well.
Thank you, Michelle. All right. So now we're going to enter into the conversation, ladies and gentlemen. There will be a Q&A at the end, but please let's hear what our amazing panelists have to say this morning about climate change. So the first question is to you, Natalie. And the question is, what is climate change and how well are we facing it globally? This is more of an introduction as to what we're going to be talking about today, ladies and gentlemen. So please pay close attention, especially all the Sri Lankans here with us, because we aren't making this a priority and it is high time that we do. So Natalie, please, the floor is yours.
Sure. It's very nervous to start the first question, but I think an important place to start is differentiating between climate and weather. We talk about weather, what's the weather like tomorrow? Is it going to rain? Is it hotter or colder? And a lot of people are confusing these two concepts of climate and weather. So actually climate refers to a long-term average observation of weather. So for example, tomorrow is a bit colder. Is it true that the earth is not warming on average? It's not, because we're looking at weather over an aggregate time of maybe 2, 3, or even 10 and 100 years. So climate change refers to a change in average weather conditions and shifting in these conditions. And now we're seeing climate change due to human using oil and gas and coal for powering the homes, like when you're switching on lights using electricity, or taking transport and factories producing goods for us. Ever since the Industrial Revolution in the 1800s. So the world globally, it is getting 1.2 degrees warmer than 19th century. And the amount of carbon dioxide emission in the atmosphere has risen by 50%. And these, of course, there are natural reasons to why our climate is changing, but the latest scientific report endorsed by leading scientists from all over the world called the IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, has confirmed that climate change is largely caused by human activities, meaning that we're burning fossil fuel, we're burning coal, natural gas to power our home and economic activities. And also in this latest scientific report, there are actually 5 scenarios of how we're dealing with climate change. So the scenarios are respectively very low carbon dioxide emission, low emission, intermediate emission, high and very high emission. So meaning that whether we can reduce our emission in the coming 10 or 20 years. And the report shows that all of these emission scenarios actually are exceeding our Paris Agreement temperature target of controlling the Earth's temperature within 1.5 degrees Celsius. And there are actually 2 scenarios, the low and very low scenarios, who are able to control temperature warming within 2 degrees. By keeping our world warming within 2 degrees, we will be able to revert a lot of devastating impact on both human society and also the ecosystem. For example, we can prevent mass extinction of species. We can protect a lot of low-lying countries. For example, Sri Lanka is actually under significant threat of climate change because as an island nation, you're surrounded by waters. And sea level global warming means there will be a risk of sea level rise. And because of the ice cap in the polar regions melting, then we'll be maybe flooding some of the low-lying regions. And the first nations at threat are definitely the island nations, like Pacific Island countries, and Sri Lanka is also at risk. So how well are we controlling it, and what kind of impact is Sri Lanka facing from climate change? So Sri Lanka is projected to be to have global rise in temperature that is similar to the average level globally. And by 2090, there can be a projected rise of 2.9 to 3.5 degrees Celsius, which is very significant and will lead to more frequent and intensive extreme weather events, such as more frequent flooding, storm surges. But there are still a chance for us to refer these trends. And later on in our panel, we'll be discussing some of the solutions, for example, building more adaptive infrastructure. Now that we know temperature is going to rise anyways, we are able to reduce the magnitude of rise. However, we still need to put adaptation measures in place. For example, building higher dikes and flood retention facilities in order to combat these changes. So in the following panel, we'll be talking more about that, but hopefully this can give a brief overview of what climate change is and why is it so important.
Thank you, Natalie. It really did clear a lot of it, and it did make it really articulated what it is. Thank you so very much for that answer. This next question is to Michelle. Michelle, the topic you have to speak about, it's not a question, more of a theme. And the theme is climate change and the point of no return. What is your response to this, Michelle?
Yeah. So today, climate change and the point of no return are two words that go hand in hand. We all know that. And climate change is, in fact, the most devastating and the greatest threats that humans have ever faced during our existence. It's changing at an alarming rate. Did you know that we are living in a time where air pollution kills an estimated 7 million people every year throughout the world? And the warmest years in the last 140 years have been 2015 through 2021. And between 1880 and 2015, the average worldwide sea level has risen by 8.9 to 9 inches, which is substantially quicker than the previous 2,700 years. How much do you think, economically speaking, these damages have cost us? According to an article that was released in The Economist magazine, approximately $100 billion worth of damages were caused due to this climate change and the extreme weather events. And they have also stated that if it's not controlled within the next 30 years, damages from climate change could reach $8 trillion. So apart from that, some parts of the earth are warming faster than others. On average, the global atmospheric temperature has increased nearly 1.5 degrees, as Natalie mentioned. It's almost reaching 1.5 degrees Celsius in the past, comparing to the past 100 years, which means that we are ultimately reaching the point of no return, because we are supposed to keep the global atmospheric temperatures below 2 degrees Celsius as much as possible. So as she mentioned, since the Industrial Revolution, human activities have released more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, which is more than 2,000 gigatons of carbon dioxide that have already increased the concentrations of carbon dioxide by 48 to 50% over the past 71 years. So this is more than actually what has happened naturally over a 20,000 year period. And according to the US Energy Information Administration, they have estimated that in 2019, the global emissions of energy-related carbon dioxide was 33.1 billion metric tons. And in 2021, according to the NASA, carbon dioxide concentrations in the atmosphere was recorded as 413.8 parts per million. But we are supposed to keep it to 300 or below 300. So this challenge is actually intensified by the food insecurity caused due to so many agricultural caused due to these extreme weather events, and this challenge is actually worsened with the food insecurity caused due to agriculture's extreme vulnerability to climate change, as well as COVID-19 pandemic and the economy loss across the globe. Climate change negative impacts are already being felt among us in the form of increase in temperatures and weather variability, shift in agrosystem boundaries, and invasive crops and pests, and more frequent extreme weather events. So when it comes to farms, climate change is reducing crop yields and lowering livestock productivity. So a growing global population is driving up the demand for food. The food security challenge will become more difficult as the world will need to produce about 70% more food by 2050 to feed an estimated 9 billion people. So this is actually similarly affected to Sri Lanka as well, because as we all know, Sri Lanka is a tropical country, a biodiversity hotspot, and also the agricultural sector is one of the key factors in Sri Lankan economy. So 42% of the country's land area is used for agriculture. and the agriculture sector contributes about 7.4% of the national GDP. So out of the total population in Sri Lanka, 27.1% engages in agricultural activities. So this aspect of climate change has triggered causing weather patterns to be less predictable, and these unexpected weather patterns have caused issues such as decreased harvests in our crop productions, increased floods, droughts, extreme weather events, desertification, and the displacement of hundreds of millions of people.
Michelle?
Actually, yeah, it's up to us to decide whether we have a healthy or unhealthy ecosystem. Yeah.
Michelle, if I could intrude you, thank you very much for that amazing answer. It really did clear out what exactly is the issue in our country and how it's impacting, how climate change is impacting us. I know a lot of people aren't aware of that, but you are also touching on some of the issues that we're going to be discussing in the next question. This question is to you, Natalie, which is, what are the impacts of climate change in Asia? Now, Michelle was going deep into what's happening, how it's affecting Sri Lanka, but I would like to know an answer more globally in our region of Asia. How is climate change impacting us? What are we going to be expecting in the next couple of months, years, days, we never really know. So Natalie, over to you.
Right. Thank you so much for the question. And Michelle gave a very broad overview of what are the impacts that we're facing and a lot of numbers. Yes. For Asia in particular, we're undergoing rapid urbanization and expanding population and economic growth. We are also under significant risk of climate change because of, as we mentioned,